Yeah, good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Carol Matewila popping up as usual and disappearing. Now, I am here, still kicking, and I've been very, very terrified over these times of Corona because I've experienced some strange things as I'm going to talk about them. As you can see, I've got this crazy marks on my body. Look at that. It's like a map of hell that I've just encountered. Yeah, so today it's the subject is today check in with yourself and see how you're doing in crazy times. Check in with yourself and see how you're doing in these crazy times. So I just thought to myself, let me share with you guys where I'm at on my spiritual level, on my career path, on my questioning the world, and all of my crazy stories that are going in my spirit, and with this Black Lives Matters and etc. So I had to do um 2010 2020. I'm sorry, I wish I was in 2010. Yeah, 2020 has been the most difficult time for me, for all of us, for you, and even now we are still very confused, not knowing what's going on, how we are moving. And some of you guys have found your way. Bravo to those who have found their ways. Some of you guys never lost your way. It felt as if your world was still continuing, even though the work was not there. You were working at home, whereby some of us, we completely lost our puzzles, and we are trying to start together. We're trying to start all over again, but there is no clear light because there's this thing called coronavirus, called COVID-19, that every day it seems like it's just jumping. It has its own plane. It's moving from one place to another. And when you think it's over, suddenly there's a story again that Corona might come back. So we're dealing with things that we never thought that we will deal with. So why am I saying check in with yourself and see where you're at? I'm going to talk about myself. As you know, you guys, I'm always very open. I'm like an open book, you know. Sometimes I feel a little bit scared on how open I am with myself, but I think often we hide ourselves. Often we hide things that we are experiencing in life, and we then have to deal with this big wild world by ourselves, because all the things that are happening, it's better when we vomit them, you know. And I'm one of those. I like to vomit. Sometimes I'm crazy in my vomitness, sometimes I'm sweet in my vomitness, sometimes it's just really me sharing who I am. So today I'm checking in with myself, just sharing with you guys what I've been dealing with. Now, since from March, my body was perfect. Everything was doing well. We have just celebrated 2019 and entering into 2020. I've created my new resolutions, and I've just moved out of a country where I was living in, which is the United Kingdom, for 6 years, entering into a new country and thinking, oh, I'm going to start again, and I'm going to be, and as you know, you guys, starting again, it's always a challenge. But I was really looking forward to this new start. Enter Belgium, October, still relaxing a little bit, but not really relaxed, a little bit anxious, and say, where I'm going to start, how am I going to start, how am I going to close everything in the United Kingdom and find myself settling back into Belgium. Suddenly, Corona strikes. Haha. So, what do you do now, Carol? I find myself, relaxing and saying, "Oh, it's gonna pass, this coronavirus," and then, we share the moments. Oh, the Chinese people are eating wrong food, and now this wrong food is taking the world, and okay, quarantine, self quarantine, and suddenly, I think I was the first one to quarantine because of my health was very important. Now, this is March, the second week of March in Belgium. So we quarantine, we don't go out, we only go to shops, and people are very afraid. We are far away from each other. And then week 3, I started experiencing pains on my throat. This is me checking me with myself, really. It's me telling my story, but I'm also trying to find out what has happened really in this period of time of this madness. Suddenly this feels really, really painful, and suddenly when I go to bed, it's like I'm losing my saliva. It's a feeling that I can never explain, and I'm thinking to myself, what's going on, and this thing, it escalates. There's no marks at all. It's just really but the strange thing is that I start, sometimes when I'm sitting in my living room, there will be these flying things, and I would feel as if I have swallowed something that is flying, like an animal or something. I start coughing. But whenever I swallow this, the small little things in my house, I start thinking to myself, what's going on? Because the moment I swallow those, my chest gets even more painful. So I decide then myself, because I don't know what's going on, I decide then to take a garlic. I take a garlic and I put it here. And suddenly I feel like something is burning, a burning sensation I've ever felt. And suddenly the wounds come. That's why this thing is there. But then I get my saliva back. And then as I'm concentrating, I realize that this as well is creating a trail, and this trail is going all around. So I take a garlic, I put it there again, and suddenly I can breathe. But every night, this air, I don't know what you call them. It's like something in the air that I can never explain. And this went on and on, and it went on all over and until here. And my body was like fighting it. I would take garlic, I would take a lemon, and fighting whatever this is that I don't know. Did I have coronavirus? I don't think so, because of I was not going out. My friend was going out to buy food often, so I was always in the house, and he was not being affected by anything. But I was just affected by the air. There was I don't know, something in the air, you guys, that I can never explain. And this suddenly started making me really depressed. I started really experiencing this a sense of depression, massive depression, that I was wondering, am I going to die? Am I going to? But I never fought it. That I never fought the idea of dying. I knew that I was healthy, because whatever that was happening, I could feel that it was something external. It was not something internal. And now, as you can see, I've got these things here that are really, really horrible, and I don't know where they came from. And another thing that I experienced as I was experiencing all this horrible sensation on my neck, I also experienced massive pains on my joints, especially on my knees. I would walk, and it felt as if I was becoming this old woman. And I thought to myself, what's going on? Going down the stairs, recently they showed Donald Trump making this strange walk, and everybody was wondering, why is he walking like that? I was walking like that myself. And when I say Donald Trump walking like that, and I thought, wow, he's walking very strange. And I remember my strange walking. And this went on. I mean, and I was fighting suddenly I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't sit there and just relax in the evening and just be myself, because of this air, or whatever air sensation would suddenly fill up my home, and I would try to run away, because then I started having this massive headaches. And it was something very strange, something that I can't. I'm still trying. Bear with me, you guys. My battery is going low, and I do not want to lose this. Yeah. Yeah. And it was really strange, really, because of I'm very good in understanding the body, and I tried to massage my knees, but this thing was not something to be massaged. It was like my body electricity was suddenly overstimulated, really, that when I touch my body, sometimes I would get shocks in my fingers, like a shocks of electricity. Very, 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 Very strange, very strange. And this went on and went on and went on and went on. And every night, sometimes I would sleep in the cellar. And the cellar, there's no air, just to try to run away from whatever this was. And I would sleep at 10 o'clock. And even in that 10 o'clock, I'll be I was not sleeping. I was just watching something that I don't know what it was. But sometimes I might sleep, then this air flying things that I could never tell what it was, it will enter my mouth. And when it enters my mouth, the second day it will be hell to pay. I wouldn't breathe. I'll have to take things like this, like a knife, and put it there and press whatever that was. And as I press it, then I'll find sensation, and it will burn as if I'm killing something. And this thing will burn my skin inside. Can you imagine? These are the things that I did. And so when I say check in with yourself and see how you're doing in these crazy times, we're dealing with coronavirus, and we don't know what it is. And I don't want to say that what I was dealing with was coronavirus, but I'm just saying that with this coronavirus, with this COVID-19 being spoken about, my experience was what I'm telling you right now. I experienced these things, and the only thing that I had to do was to not judge my health, was not to judge my body and think that my body was failing me. What I then did was to judge my atmosphere and think that my atmospherical energy in my house was failing me. The air that I'm used to, that it's crystally clear, even though it was not crystally clear because of we are surrounded with pollution of the cars and etc. There was something around my environment that I was not used to. The radiation was overcharged. So I had to do so many things. I bought machines to clean my air, and these machines didn't work. I then started looking and trying to find out, but in my mind I didn't have internet connection. So I started then switching off the internet connection, and I could sleep. I could sleep. But the electrical shocks were still going on, even if the internet was switched off. So I had to really do my level best to find out what the hell is going on. And sometimes we are afraid to talk. And this is the world where I find that human beings find themselves really minimized to the core of really, really living in this world to the best of their ability, because our voices are not allowed to be shared. We are not allowed to say what we are feeling. And for me, I've got a right to express how I feel, and I've got a right to express and see and check in with myself and see what have I been dealing with in 2020. And 2020 has been the most scariest year I've ever experienced. And can you imagine running away from the air? Oh dear. Because and the worst part is that when they say that corona was affecting this area, I thought to myself, my God, whatever that I'm dealing with, it's actually what they say corona presents. And as you can see, I mean, I've got these things whereby I don't know how I'm going to deal with them. My beauty has been scarred, and it's scarred for life. But I'm not really worried about it, because this is my storyline. It's my story that I will always remember. I hope one day they fade away, but they're there. Look how ugly they are, and you can see it's exactly where it was affecting people. But this, for me, it came from the atmosphere. You know, And where am I today? I'm thinking to myself, you're doing well, sis. You know, I'm thinking that I'm doing well, not arrogantly. I'm not arrogant about it. I am so happy that I have a spirit that I adore. I'm so happy today that I'm so aware of myself that I didn't judge my body. I judge the atmosphere. And because of that, normally I like to live clean. I'm a woman who likes to have an environment that is really stunning. But what happened, I became very depressed, very, very depressed, that I couldn't do anything. I rejected anything that it's life. And I'm still emerging from it. I rejected home. I just rejected everything. And I found myself going low. The lowest of my life I have never found myself was 2020. Just finding myself, asking myself a question: am I running away from me dying because everybody's dying? I don't think that was what was going on in my head. What was going on in my head was, hmm, the world is dangerous, because I didn't understand where did this whatever bubbles that came in my mouth. And when they came in my mouth, I felt as if it was a big, a big bee that just flew in my throat. And suddenly I had to cough out this bee. But then as I'm trying to cough out this bee, I could feel it spreading around, and my chest would become red. And I had to pinch. I ended up starting to pinch, you see, these pinchings that I'm doing. And as I'm pinching like this, I would feel like actually I'm pinching something. And that pinch will hurt me so much. And as I let go, suddenly I'll be able to breathe, and whatever that went there would suddenly disappear. And I started pinching, really, really doing this pinch. This is really me checking in with myself. And you who's watching, we are intelligent, we are spirits, we came in this world for living, and we came in this world for dying. Now, when the living is still strong, the living will do whatever in its power to be here, because death, living, it's an essence of its own. As death, it's an essence of its own. And then we've got a life in the middle. You understand? Don't know if you understand what I mean. Often we are afraid of of what's going on around our bodies. Sometimes you have a little of a headache, and immediately you want to go out to get something outside to get rid of that headache, instead of you listening to the headache and following the stream of that headache and see what it says. Because for me, I think why I am who I am today, my great grandmom used to say, the body has its own language. Every signal that happens, don't fight it. Listen to it, and listen to where it goes, and listen to its danger, and listen to its speed. We are a river. Everything flows in us. We are ever flowing. I say sometimes you might look at your skin and think that your skin, it's just standing there still. But the mere fact is that this skin, it's moving without you seeing. The pores are everything. It's on emotion. It's always moving. Now the question is, how do you value that movement? How do you value that flow? On the other hand, I value my flow very much. I value the essence of being, and I do not fight it. I want to learn. My body, it's my research of understanding myself. I become the science of I become the scientist of what's going on around me. Now, the last thing that I did in all these researches that I've done, my knees were still getting painful. I was still getting these electrical shocks and etc. So a friend of mine said to me, Carol, why don't you get why don't I come pick you up? Because now the borders are open, and come in Holland. We can work, and you can also try to escape the air. And I thought to myself, that's a good one, because I didn't know where the air was. Suddenly I started to become very suspicious that what's going on? I became kind of, yeah, I was kind of paranoid, really, not really knowing where was the experience that I was experiencing came from. Was I judging coronavirus? Somehow, I was judging lots of things. I was judging the what do you call this? The G5. I was judging that. even though I didn't have concrete reasons for me to judge it. I was judging the corona, this silly thing, COVID-19. I thought to myself, these two things just suddenly appeared from nowhere in our lives. They were talking about this G5 being dangerous, and it was going to escalate with radiation and etc. And me having to realize that actually my body was so surrounded with these electrical shocks because of I'm a massage therapist, and I love the body, and my work is all about keeping the body in balance, make sure that the body flow as freely as possible as it can. So temperatures are my number one priority. Whenever I work with people, my emphasis and my meditation to balancing that person, it's to really understand where the level of their electricity, or no, where the level of their temperature is, just by touching the velvet, and then going beyond the velvet into going through, so I can touch the bones. And the bones as well, they tell me a lot in terms of of the temperature. And I did the same thing with this nonsense that was going on around me. I had to go through my bones, and whenever I touch my bones, they were electrified. It was just something, yeah. So this is my experience since March until recently. Now, recently, then I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to Holland. I went to Holland. And when I got to Holland, my friend lives in a very nice place, really, really the countryside, surrounded with horses. It's you've got a space. Your eyes, you can just wake up in the morning and see, and there's nothing that blocks you. It's just a space and space and space and space and space. Really, it's like mini resort, spa resort. I felt as if I went to a spa resort. But that night when I went to sleep, exactly at the same hour, which is from 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I then again started feeling pains in my body. There were no bubbles though in that place in Holland. I experienced again this electrical shock, and it was painful. And I remember even one night I decided to go sleep in the toilet. Yeah, so let's check in, guys. Let's check in, because at this moment there's lots of things that are happening. We are going through lots of things that we are made to question ourselves. We are living in moments where scarcity and fear, it's controlling the roads where we are walking. And I think sometimes it's important to have a grip of the most scariest moments in our lives, so we can observe and create our own data. Everything is about data, everything is about information, everything is about we are told a lot. What are we saying? For me, what I'm saying is that whatever the experience that we are going through at this moment, it is something that none of us know. uh we don't know, we really don't know. Do I think that there's someone who knows better? I can't really say that. I can just say that it's a dangerous times we find ourselves in. So am I still struggling? Yes, I'm still struggling. As you can see, I've got that red dot there. You can see that. I keep on pressing it. You see that? This is where now I'm remaining with the blockage. And this blockage, I'm doing my best to deal with it. So I use the garlics, the raw garlics. I use the raw gingers. I use the raw lemon, and especially lemon. When I'm done with you now, I'm just going to cut off fresh lemon. I'm going to put it there, and it makes things much easier. So the last thing that I did to cut off these electrical shocks, because of that was my most horrible moment, because this was like I've been tortured. One day I was sleeping in my bed, and I felt as if somebody had you know, um, it's just very crazy. It felt as if somebody had electrical wires on my buttocks, and I was like, really, I had to turn around, and it has been very strange, very, very, very strange what I have experienced recently, and I can't I can't tell you more by saying, is it over? I have no clue. Am I already in a better space? Somewhere, somehow, for days I have been, because after coming back from Holland, I realized, man, there's just something wrong. It's not only Belgium. There's just something wrong in the atmosphere. And then I asked my friend William, what do I do to minimize the air in my room? That there's not much air. He said, you can probably cover your windows. I thought, that's a brilliant idea. Then I took blankets and I put in my room. Now my room is really dark. It's not enjoyable at all. But putting blankets on my window, God, I could sleep. And that, because with this, I was getting paranoid and I was not sleeping and I was angry. I was very aggressive because of, when you don't sleep and you're dealing with all these things, we humans, we're fragile. Sometimes we want to make ourselves strong as if everything is going well. Sometimes we lose ourselves. And if you lose yourself and you tell those who are around you, please be patient, because at this moment, this is what I'm going through. Poor William will experience a lot with me through this time. But after he said that, suddenly I could sleep. I could really, really sleep. Isn't that strange? I could sleep. Only yesterday, after a long time, I then swallowed that air thing there. It was just one, and it went straight, and it went so far, as if someone shoot it in my mouth. Very strange. And yesterday, suddenly, this redness started, and I couldn't breathe. And I took my bicycle, and I was struggling on the bike. I had to stop, and there was this hell of temperature coming up, and I got home, and I took a garlic and I put it there, and I took lemon and I put lemon there, and I said, and then as I was sitting there, you could feel the liquid of this lemon getting into my system, and only then, I could breathe, and I remember me sitting on the table and saying to William, "My God, the lemon and ginger and garlic has removed whatever that I swallowed yesterday." And even though the sensation and the pressure and the trauma of it still remains, which so to conclude, my conclusion is, we don't know what we are dealing with. What I have experienced things in the air that are like airborne something something. They've mentioned it in Belgium, that there's so now what I hear is that when you're struggling with coronavirus, those who have it, as they speak, they create um, airborne, whatever, whatever, whatever. And those airborne things, they remain on the atmosphere for some time. So a person who's next to you, who has corona, and you can inhale that. So I really wondered, because of my friend, on the other hand, he does not have any. My friend has been to his mom, and his mom is somebody who's a little bit old. She's about 86 years old. So I've been struggling with this thing from March. I've been, and he has been around people. Me, on the other hand, I'm not so much surrounded by people at this moment. I'm not in the state of socializing, because of I've been dealing with all these things. So I've been kind of isolated in a way. So what the hell is going on? This is the question, you guys. What are we dealing with? You know, um, is it ending? Suddenly, I started having the urge to go to my country. And I phoned my embassy yesterday, and my embassy was there. They were really, really there within a blink of an eye, where they even were planning for me to take a flight to South Africa this Saturday. And I thought, yay, I come from a wonderful country. I go to them and I scream and say, I'm struggling. And then they say to me, Carol, we can put you in a plane within a blink of an eye. I phoned yesterday and my country said, Carol, we can make sure I can book you in a plane that is leaving this Saturday to be home. So now, where I'm at, I feel honored to be me. I feel lucky that I have studied my surrounding so that in life, whatever that I'm experiencing, instead of me blaming I or blaming those around me, my atmosphere plays very important role for my health. And my me understanding my body and valuing my body makes me to stay away from the dangers of life, because I can imagine if these things were inside and they were never detected and I never found them and I never had a technique to deal with them, I could have been probably in danger more than you could never imagine. But because of I love my inner being, I know how to deal with this shell. My body is my shell, and that shell holds a spirit that has answers. So I'm always very connected with my inner governor. My governor gives me things. Who told me to use a garlic was my governor. I was just struggling, and something say I had a voice within me saying, "Pick up a raw garlic, and cut it into two and put it there." And I did that, even though it scarred me. But whatever wounds that were there, they came out. And my governor said, don't blame yourself, because of I could have said, oh, probably I have corona, and created behave very stupid and go to the hospitals, and probably I could have found myself in more trouble because of these people themselves in the hospital. They're dealing with something that they have never dealt with before. So this is Carol Matibula saying it's very important to be aware, and it's very important not to classify yourself as stupid. The word stupid to each and every individual does not exist. Not at all. When you're feeling things and you know that you're feeling them, don't care about who says what. Care about what you are feeling, because remember, the universe is the universe because of your existence. You're existing in your own universe. Sometimes when you tell people might try to judge your universe, but they don't understand it is your universe that you are living in. It has nothing to do with anyone. And your universe, you will experience it only by yourself. So what you experience in your universe, it's very important to trust that. And I did that. And today I think, as I'm still checking in with myself where I'm at and how am I doing, I'm realizing that yes, on a business and career side, I've never worked for anyone. As long as I shall remember, I've always managed to make my own finances. I've never worked for anyone, ever, 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 ever. I have always run my own business. And now, at the age of 49, I'm thinking to myself, my God, I've got so much knowledge with staying calm, allowing the depression to come. Because the problem as well is that when we are depressed, we fight the depression. I think what I did, I allowed the depression to come. The biggest depression of my life was 2020, and feeling on a career side, feeling very um, vulnerable, feeling powerless, not knowing, trying to do things and finding yourself saying, I'm fighting for career, I'm fighting for my financials, but I don't even know who I am. What do I do? I don't even know what I'm dealing with around me. Yes, I can go out there and tell people, and I did my best. I did. What do we do to come out of our business after this coronavirus? What do you do to prepare yourself around this coronavirus? I did these things. I communicated with others out there, trying to keep people on track, but I was not on track. Isn't that beautiful? And there was a moment where I had to say to myself, Carol, stop the perfection world. Stop being perfect. Stop being a winner. Be in a losing side of silentness and observation and observation. I mean observation. Be in a moment of silentness and observation, because the feelings that you are at this moment, you have no control of anything at this moment. You have no control of the air that you breathe. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if it's going to escalate. You have no control of the protection of your own skin. Look at how your skin is. You, at least you have a friend who cares very, very deeply, and he has shown you how much he cares for you in the most difficult times of humanity. Now, you lash out on him because of you don't know what to do, and he can hold you and say you're okay, and he's working like crazy because of he was the one who was working, but his work was double the work, like 3 times. And so it has been, hmm, it has been crazy. I don't know how it is for you. And is it getting better? I can only say that for the first time today, I did my yoga movements. I am cleaning my home today to the core, to really, really the core that I know. Um, I did a garden, even though I was going through this madness. I had to create a sanctuary where I could run out and just. So I've been like a child to answer, check in with yourself and see how you're doing. And in this crazy time, I will say, for the first time, I became like a child, where I was given a moment to just be in that hiding of trying to find out, you're hiding, you're like a little girl, and you're hiding and you're peeping out and saying what's going on. And then you're going back and so I feel like I have been like that. And where am I going? Don't know where I'm going. I just know that at least I am not dealing with this electrical shock. Only yesterday I felt it a little bit, and I thought to myself, why am I feeling these electrical shocks again? And there's also saying that in Belgium that this coronavirus, it's kind of coming back and people are kind of terrified. So let's stay well. Speak about what you're experiencing. Speak about what your friends are experiencing. Speak about what your kids are experiencing. Look at your animals, how they're behaving. And let us have this moment in a writing or in records. Let's record it. Let's create batches. Let's communicate, because one day, once this thing, probably it will be clear, completely finished, we can all look at what we were saying while we were experiencing it. We can all, and those who are researchers trying to find out what the hell is going on, trying to find answers, they can also find answers in our YouTube videos, because of as I'm saying at this moment, all these things are the things that I have experienced. I'm not experiencing them as I experienced them before, which I'm very glad about it. But I'm just saying that it's important as human beings to check out with ourselves where we are and how we are doing, especially in these crazy times. This is Carol Matibula, just sharing what has been going on in her life. And thank you for listening. And until I pop up again, as I normally pop up and disappear. And at this moment, my voice sounds terrible because, as I said yesterday, something happened. And once again, after a long time, my air was kind of disturbed. Now, stay well, do whatever you can out there. If they think you should wear a mask, somehow I was very against the mask. This is what I'm going to finalize with. And I think for me, because of it's not humans only where you can get this thing. You can also get it just as you walk because of its airworm. It's air, whatever. They've got a name for it. I don't know what they call it. But for me, it has been those air bubbles that has came into my mouth. So what I would say, if you don't like the mask, have something, even if it could be your scarf, something that can cover there, just to make sure when you walk around, go taking your bicycle and all that, protect yourself and probably protect others. So I really, really highly recommend the mask for the reason that I have just said. And if you struggle with a mask, find something that is comfortable. I find that if I use my thin scarves and I put them few times, I can still breathe, even though I feel like I'm covered. And what I normally do, I blow through them to see if I can feel my air. The moment I can feel that I don't feel my air penetrating through, then I'm well and I can walk around doing my thing. So let us protect one another. Let us not be only rebellious and talking about, you know, only theoretically of us being rebellious. This it's not a moment to be rebellious. Anybody can get affected by whatever that it's taking place today. Hey, you have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead. This is me saying, have a wonderful day. Ciao for now. Bye. 41.